Spider-Man Homecoming is directed by Jon Watts and stars Tom Holland and Michael Keaton. Fresh off his experience with the Avengers, Peter's back home in Queens trying to balance his life as a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and a normal high school sophomore. But his capabilities as a superhero are put to the test when he meets the Vulture. Now, Spider-Man is one of my favorite superheroes of all time, and I had high hopes for this movie, especially after seeing Civil War. Thank God Marvel and Sony were able to come to an agreement and bring Spider-Man into the MCU because he was one of my favorite parts about Civil War. And this franchise seemed to be a bit of a lost cause after Spider-Man 3 and again after The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but thank God this movie is so great and so much fun. I just couldn't stop smiling throughout this entire movie because it's so good. And overall, with all these standalone Marvel films, what I like is that they're able to stay like as their separate entity but still be connected to the overall cinematic universe. And with this movie, it does it pretty well because you know that the Avengers are out there and you know that Iron Man is in this movie, and you know when all this stuff is going down, it's like, well, why isn't he helping out? And they do address that, and they do that pretty well. One of the things I really liked about this movie was that it's a soft reboot of kinds, sort of like what they did with the Hulk, and not retread on the origin story so much. And it is an origin story, but just not the same origin story we've seen Spider-Man before. It's more of like an origin story of how he becomes a superhero in this Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I really like how when he's going back to his normal life, it's not what he really expects after being involved in Civil War, and he goes from fighting Captain America and all the Avengers to back to this normal life and trying to just be a neighborhood Spider-Man. He's going back to like getting cats out of trees and helping old ladies across the street and stuff like that. I really like that part about the movie. One of the things I think they got absolutely right in this movie was the character of Spider-Man. It's going back to that high school sophomore year of Spider-Man and how he's trying to balance everything with his superhero life, with this normal life, and he wants to do all the normal things that a normal teenage kid does, but he really can't because it is bigger responsibility with all of these powers and helping people within the city. And one of the things that I really like was that he's trying to prove himself to Tony Stark that he can be that superhero that Tony believes he can, but he has this naive idea of what it means to be a superhero, and he complains all the times like he's tired of being treated like a kid, but he's 15 years old. I found that really interesting because yeah, he knows what the right thing is to do, but he has to kind of discover and sort of evolve into his role as a superhero, and that is just so much fun to watch. And a lot of it had to do with Tom Holland as Peter Parker / Spider-Man, and you get a little bit of that flavor in Civil War, but you get to see him absolutely take on this role in this movie, and he did such an amazing job. He's an absolute superstar, and Marvel really hasn't taken a misstep in any of their movies so far of all their superhero properties. But the one thing that I really kind of struggled with in a lot of these movies is to find a really engaging and interesting villain, and Michael Keaton absolutely knocked it out of the park of this movie. I really liked him as Vulture, and I can really get behind his character, and you can really understand why he turns to the life of crime in this film. And Michael Keaton he kills it as this character, and I don't think he really ever yells in this movie. He's so menacing and so like intimidating in this movie. I also like how sparingly they use Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark in this film. He's more the mentor to Peter Parker in this film. He only shows up really for like a couple of scenes here and there. You see it in the trailer that Tony gives Peter this whole tough love speech of, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve to have it. And this scene really reminds you how good of an actor both Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. are. And I just really like the overall use of Tony in this movie. He's really there to remind you that Spider-Man is a part of the MCU. And if you're worried that this is going to be Iron Man 4, he's hardly ever in the suit. I think he's only in the Iron Man suit for one scene in this movie, so it's not an Iron Man movie, and this movie is completely and utterly Spider-Man's film. And of course, it wouldn't be a Marvel film without the use of humor. The humor in this movie is absolutely perfect. I love their use of the jokes and humor in this film. But like, one of my big complaints about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is that it was just too much humor. It kept beating you over the head. Like, it would try to get serious at points, but then they had to throw a joke in there. This movie really doesn't do that. There are really serious moments in this film with Peter and Tony and Aunt May, and they don't throw any jokes. They just let the scene be what it's supposed to be, and I really like the use of humor in this film. And there's something that happens that I really didn't see coming. I don't think anybody else, because when this thing happens, I'm not going to spoil it, but like everybody in the theater was like, whoa, what? I mean, it's not so much a twist. I mean, it is a twist, but like when you think about it, it's like it's sitting right there in front of you the entire time. And you're like, all right, cool. And I really dug the way they handled it, because when it happens, it's like you kind of gasp for like the characters in the situation, like, oh no, but then it sort of plays out and it's like, okay, that I really like the way they handled it. And again, no spoilers, but there is something that is changed in the lore in this movie, and I can see a lot of people getting upset about this. Just to be clear, I really don't care. It's 2017. You got to update your movies for certain different reasons, and I can see this turning off a lot of people. If you're a Spider-Man purist, you're gonna be upset about this. I don't care. I mean, as long as you give me a great movie, which this movie is really great. And no matter how much I enjoyed this film, I can't say enough, this is a great Spider-Man movie. It isn't without its flaws, and there are a couple of small nitpicky things that I have about this movie. For one, the action, I was kind of expecting a little bit more. I mean, the action scenes are a lot of fun. I mean, you can't not have fun with a Spider-Man movie. He's swinging around, doing his web crawler, web slingy things, but like, I really wish they would have gotten a little bit creative, because it felt like a lot of this stuff, it's like, I mean, how many different ways can we see Spider-Man shoot webs and swing around and flip and do all that stuff? I mean, I really wish they would have gotten a little bit more creative with the action scenes and maybe shot things in a little bit more like groundbreaking ways. Just think of something fresh to do with the action in this scene. I mean, I'm not complaining. The action is awesome. It's a lot of fun, but it's this small little nitpicky thing I was kind of hoping they would have just pushed the action up a little bit more. And you don't really get that Marvel moment. I mean, you can argue that the fairy, when the fairy gets cut in half, you see it in the trailer and Spider-Man's trying to save it. You can argue that that's his Marvel moment, but it didn't stick with me. If you tell me, Andrew, what's your favorite action scene in this Spider-Man movie, I really don't have one. I just reflect that the whole overall, all the action's a lot of fun. Another thing that I would say that I would sort of nitpick at is that I am glad they didn't retread on the Uncle Ben thing and the whole origin story, but I really think that his whole, like, how he is like shaped by his loss of his uncle is kind of missed in this movie. I mean, because if you look back at the Spider-Man character, him feeling responsible for his Uncle Ben's death is something that really shapes him as a person and as a hero. And there's this one part of the movie, no spoilers, that Peter needs a little bit of motivation to get things done, and he sort of reflects on something that Tony said to him, and I think that was a really missed opportunity to have some sort of a small flashback to get him motivated again. And it would have been great to see a small little tidbit with Uncle Ben to get him motivated again, because really that's what Spider-Man looks back on as, and how it's sort of a burden for him to carry. And again, with great power becomes great responsibility. And I really would have liked to see just something small to remind us that he carries with him the memory of his uncle, to keep him going, to keep him doing the right thing. And another thing that I really wish I would have seen is this whole relationship with Aunt May. And Aunt May is used kind of sparingly, as like Tony is in this movie. She doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but there's this one scene in the movie where you dive deeper into their relationship and how she's worried about him all the time. And I wanted to see a bit more of that. Because one of the things that Spider-Man has to deal with being a superhero is not only dealing with his high school life, but how being Spider-Man affects the people around him. Like, and one of those people that it really affects is Aunt May. And they do touch on it a bit in this movie, that he doesn't want Aunt May to know because like she's already dealing with enough. I just wanted to see a little bit more of that, just to dive in a little bit more of the serious issues, because one of the things that all these Marvel films are doing really well is, like, yeah, they're giving a lot of action and a lot of humor, but they're really give you those serious moments, like in Civil War and in Winter Soldier and all the other movies. They have their serious moments, and they had that affect the character overall. You didn't get a lot of that in this movie, and I get why they didn't want to retread on the Ben dying thing and the whole origin story, but I wanted to see a bit more of Peter's personal life with his family situation, and just just give you a little bit more of a serious tone when it really counts. But again, small little nitpicky things, I can get over that because this movie was so much fun. From start to finish, I couldn't stop smiling because this Spider-Man, again, is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. Overall, I had so much fun. This is probably the most fun I've had in the theaters all summer. I mean, some movies have been kind of all right. There's been some gems here and there, but this movie is by far the most fun I've had this entire summer, and just go see this movie. It's so good. So again, this is a great film to go see. If you're a Spider-Man fan or just a Marvel fan in general, you are going to love this movie. Tom Holland is an absolute star, and he might be my favorite on-screen Spider-Man. Michael Keaton was super menacing as Vulture, and the humor is done right in this movie. I do have a couple of nitpicky problems with the action and wanted a bit more of the serious family relationship things, but overall I enjoyed the crap out of this movie, so I'm giving Spider-Man Homecoming 4.5 out of 5 stars. So if you saw Spider-Man Homecoming, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. If you like this review, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, and be sure to check out some of my other videos while you're at it, like that one there. That one's pretty good too. And to stay up to date on all of those, hit the subscribe button right there. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.